Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising trilogy, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again. Each book is a compilation of features about cruisers and cruise and travel personalities from around the world. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome Patricia Nicholson Yarbrough, founder of Festival at Sea, the nation's oldest and most successful African-American cultural cruise. Patricia is also president, Blue World Travel in San Francisco. In The Joy of Cruising, I wrote extensively about theme cruising in a section called Theme Cruising, Two Passions in One. I featured Patricia and Festival at Sea, and writing that profile was indeed a labor of love, one of my favorite writing projects ever. It was made all the more sweeter by the fact that I experienced a Festival at Sea cruise during the writing. A favorite anecdote I wrote about in the Festival at Sea feature was about a man I sat next to in the Celebrity Equinox buffet shortly after we embarked. I told him it was my first Festival at Sea cruise and asked him how many times he had been. 15, he told me. Immediately, the wheels started turning in my head. I thought that I had found a potential person to feature for my new book, The Joy of Cruising. I assumed that this individual was a very experienced cruiser given how many times he had been on Festival at Sea. I said, wow, 15 times on Festival at Sea. How many cruises have you been on altogether? He said, 15. That's the kind of intense loyalty Festival at Sea garners and why the majority of the following year's cruise is booked before the current year's cruise is over. Toward the end of my cruise, I stood in a long line to book Festival at Sea for the following year. After a while, I decided I would just wait and book online when I got home. When I got home, when bookings opened up, I procrastinated for a couple of days. And then I received a notification that next year's Festival at Sea was sold out. And that's the way it is every year. Patricia, welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Thank you very much, Paul. It's great to be here.
Good to see you again. How you doing?
I'm great. We just got back, a month ago because we sailed on July 22nd. So we got back a month ago from our 31st Festival at Sea.
Another success, I'm sure.
It was great. People had a really wonderful time. And then we went on sale afterwards. So we went on sale last week, Thursday, the 17th of August, and we sold out in 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I talked about in the book, when I wrote your profile, your feature in Joy of Cruising, when I was on the sailing, we were in line to buy tickets, and it was a long, long line. So we said, well, we'll do it when we got home. And so I got home and, got a notification that tickets are about to go on sale. And I procrastinated for a couple of days, and they were gone.
Yeah. That goes really fast. And we do encourage people to get on wait lists because, there's always, with this many people, this ship that we're using next year is the Reflection, and we've been using the Equinox for the past four times we've sailed with Celebrity. So this one holds a couple of hundred people more. And so anyway, but, there's always movement, things happen, life happens to people. So we always tell people, get on the wait list and, see what happens.
So how many have sold out in a row?
Oh, boy. I mean, I don't remember the last time we weren't sold out. I know all the celebrities did, but we're always sold out. So, sometimes
That's
slower than the
thought.
others. I think back when we were pre-celebrity, we still would have cabins in February, March, April. And even when we started off, we would have, a big sale. Time would be people in January and February get their taxes and then booking. So
Hmm.
now it
Hmm.
seems more like people really want to pick their cabins you know, and come back again and ensure that they're on again. Some people like their same staterooms, and so it's kind of like a timeshare, be in the same place every year.
So let's back up, Patricia, for the benefit of the listeners. So we're talking about the Festival at Sea
Hmm.
cruise, the oldest and most successful African American cultural cruise there is. And I told you a lot about Patricia in the intro, shared a little of her impressive bio. Patricia, fill us in on some details, where you're from, where you live, anything that you would like to share.
Well, I was born and raised in San Francisco, California. So I'm a native San Franciscan, and I went to the University of San Francisco, and I graduated from there. And at the time, I was going to thought I was going to be a teacher, and then I also had a major in political science, so I was thinking about being a diplomat. But while I was at USF, I started putting together these trips because I had a professor. Her name was Elizabeth Parker, and she was teaching a class called Black Men in Latin America and the Caribbean. And I wanted to go to
Hmm.
Jamaica, so I said, if you teach this class in January when there's no classes, then I'll make the reservations. And so that's how I got involved in travel. So when I graduated, I started working for a travel agency. So,
Hmm.
and at that point in time, I started doing some things with African Americans, and I started cruising with small groups and kind of evolved to that point where we started realizing that when we were on these cruises, we were doing a lot more watching than we were participating. Like say the
Hmm.
clubs weren't playing our music, so people would kind of stand around waiting until something came on that we knew and we liked, and then they played for 3 or 4 songs, and we'd sit back down when the Achy Breaky came on, and they were playing. Yeah, I mean they were playing. You know, they were playing bridge, but we wanted to play bid whist. So there were just certain things that we just felt that, would be really, really nice. And of course, in terms of entertainment, we have our own entertainment as well. So that's where that idea of, of, uh, of Black cruising came from. And then, of course, you know, that's where Festival at Sea started. Yeah. And I had during that time opened up my own agency at that time as well. So I was able to do that. I've been in business 45 years now.
That's Blue World Travel, right?
Yes, Blue World Travel, 45 years here in downtown San Francisco on California Street.
So you're busy with travel throughout the year, not just focusing on your annual cruise. You're a regular full service travel agency.
We are not a regular full service agency. When we first opened up, in fact, we were doing corporate travel. I had a lot of, from my background when I was working as a travel agent, I had a lot of corporate accounts, Westinghouse, Adobe Sound System, and a lot of really big corporate accounts. And then I had a partner at the time whose her husband managed Journey, the rock group. And so we decided to open up together, and so we were doing rock and roll, and then I was doing corporate. But about, I'd say, 30 or so years ago, the airline stopped paying commissions, so that was kind of not a good thing, and that's when we started doing that. And then I do a lot of groups, so we do groups of minimum 400. So we have a lot of, like, for example, if someone has a major dance group and they want to do a cruise or something like that, it has to be a really, really big group. So we're set up for large groups and incentives, so we do that kind of
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
So that's your niche. So
Yeah.
so talk about the development of Festival at Sea and its
Okay.
evolution from a group cruise, a partial charter,
Right.
to the perennially sold out annual event it has become?
Well, actually, it really just grew. I mean, the first one we had from those groups of 60 people, we did not charter, we did have a larger group of 250 people. That was our first festival at sea. But we
Hmm.
wanted to have these elements that really highlighted the African American experience. And so we were very fortunate to have a lot of people who were like saying, boy, that sounds like a good idea. And there was a friend that had a connection with Phyllis Hyman. And so he says, well, we're going to call Phyllis Hyman, and let's see what she would say about this. And so it was really funny because the friend got back and said, Phyllis Hyman said she'd love to do this because she got her start. She was singing on NCL, Norwegian Cruise Line. So she said, boy,
Uh-huh.
I know cruises. I'd love to do that and like for it to work. So we just kind of were kind of novice. We were novel in terms of trying to get this all together. But I saw that Sinbad was going to be in St. Croix, and so we found somebody who knew him pretty well and said, could you come and do maybe a matinee for us
Hmm.
on our cruise? And so he did that. So a lot of those kinds of things really came together. We had people who just really thought it was an excellent idea, and that was the first one, 250. And then the next time around, after we got on board, we had so many people helping out and doing such great things to make it happen. Then 450, and then the next time we had, um, uh, 1,100, 1,200 people with a half ship, and then the fourth one, or two half ships, 1,100 and 600, and then by the fifth year, we had a full festival at sea. So it took 5 years to develop, but all along we started just developing things that we thought would be really, really great and fun to do, like electric slide freeze competition, and of course the having entertainment and dancing and that type of thing. So it developed slowly, but it finally caught on. Yeah.
So after that first full ship charter,
Hmm.
uh, of course, everyone after that was a full ship charter.
That's correct.
Were there many? I know there couldn't be many, but anyone doing full ship charters at that time?
No, no. That's, in fact, we were having problems just even getting a full ship charter. That's because even in our fourth year, when we had sold, half of one of the ships that we were on, that ship held 1,200 people, which was a big ship in those days. But anyway,
Hmm.
we just uh, it had the capacity for 2,400, but they wouldn't give us any more. They said they didn't charter for resale. They only chartered for corporations,
Hmm.
incentives and corporations, not to general groups and who would resell their product. So at that time, it was a little harder even to get a charter. Yeah.
What do you remember most from that first full ship charter?
The thing that I remember the most was usually when we get on board and when we start sailing away, we have like a sail away party, right? And I
Hmm.
remember that song, This Is How We Do It. And they put that on. It was like two decks worth of people just filled, and they played that. It was This Is How, and everyone was just singing and dancing. And then we had these two bartenders. One was Constantine and one was Bailey, the waiters that had the drinks. And then they got out there because they were from the Caribbean. They were so excited to see a whole ship full of African Americans. This was on Celebrity, in fact, at the time. They weren't owned by
Okay.
Royal Caribbean. They were owned by the Chandris brothers. And so it was on Celebrity. And I just remember that moment when that was the right song. And it was all ours, that ship. And it was like, this is how we do it. And people just went crazy. Yeah.
And you knew at that point you were on to something.
Well, I kind of knew the first time I was onto something. I just didn't want to give it up, because I just knew from the first one that this had to happen. I knew it was important and that people would like it, but so I knew before. It just took a long time. It took 5 years to get there, but yeah, I knew this was something that people wanted and people, they needed.
Who was the headliner on that first full ship charter?
Gosh, you know what? I don't even remember. I'll have to go back and figure out who that was. It could have been the
We'll
OJs. Yeah.
talk about some of the headliners that you have had
Oh, we've had
over the
everybody.
years.
My gosh, who haven't we had? Whispers, the OJs, all of the old school, Cool and the Gang. But everybody really, it's Cruise on Festival at Sea. The thing is that what we always say that the entertainment is the dessert because this is a cultural experience. And so
Right.
even this year, we've finished our announcement in April, late April, so people know that while other cruises might say, here's the lineup, come, we go, well, you're going to want to be on the ship. We've got so many activities that happen. We have our theme nights that we have every year where people dress up in costumes. This year's theme was Christmas in July. And we had the real Black Santa from Atlanta. We had ugly Christmas sweater contest inside. We had, theme contest on the deck. So we had that. Of course, we have our white night. And we had DJ Jazzy Jeff, who DJ'd the white night outside. And then we had a 50 years of hip hop also. So Slick Rick was there for that. So with that kind of thing happening, we just keep going and going and going. For example, we have a Black movie channel. Of course, we have the clubs. We have silent discos going on. We have speed dating. We have gospel brunch. We have worship service. And it's with the choir because the night before, people joined the choir, and 80 people in the choir this year. And we do Bible study, Chicago Stepping, everything.
Yeah, I've made it clear when I have talked about the Festival at Sea online or in the book even, that it's not a music cruise, it's a cultural cruise. As you say, the music is just the dessert. I know the year that I went, someone was married on the cruise. Did you have any of that this year? What stood out this year?
We have a renewal of wedding vows, which we always have. So that's one of the things that we do is the renewal of wedding vows.
You do that every year, okay?
And we did a Black Wall Street, so we got someone who now really is talking about financing, and so we do Black Wall Street, giving people a chance to learn about money and prospering. We honor the veterans.
Hey, what's her name? Miss Dorothy? Is she still coming?
Last year was the last year. Yeah. No, she's older now.
So tell the listeners what I'm talking about because I thought that was such a touching story, and I wrote about it when I featured you in the Joy of Cruising. But so that everyone else knows what we're talking about, tell us a story about Miss Dorothy.
Well, Miss Dorothy, my son Kevin actually met her on one of our comedy cruises that we had in one summer. And so we were upstairs in one of the clubs and we were dancing, and she was in the hallway. She was doing the line dances by herself in the hallway. And my son said, come on in, come on in. She said, can I? So he brought her in and she started dancing with us. And then she came to every single party.
Patricia.
Yes.
Patricia, let me interrupt.
Uh-huh.
How old tell us a little bit about Miss Dorothy.
Well, she was in her 80s then, I believe, and she's a white woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a white woman about in her 80s, and so when we left, they were talking about our charter, and she says, "Would I be able to come?" And we said, "Sure." So she's been coming every year since then. Yeah. So everybody loves Miss
Yeah.
Dorothy. Yeah.
And didn't you tell me she comes solo?
Yes, she comes by herself. She would come by herself.
I just I just thought that was the most touching story when
Yes.
you shared it with me, and
Yes.
I made sure to talk about it in the book.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some other highlights over the years of Festival at Sea? And then we're going to talk about Friends of Festival at Sea.
Okay. One of the other highlights is we do a bachelor auction. And so this year was our biggest year. What happens is the bachelors, usually we have from 12 to 16 bachelors, and they come on stage, and then um, they're introduced, and then the ladies get to bid, and they get to bid to have a dinner in a specialty restaurant, and then go to concert, have first row seats in a concert with champagne, and that's the prize. And this year we raised $85,000 for United Negro College Fund.
Wow.
Yes,
Unbelievable.
yes, yes.
So do you pick the bachelors like before the cruise, or do people volunteer once they get on, or how does that work?
They sign up in one of our newsletters. You know, one of the things that we do is we keep our passengers informed with the Blue Notes newsletters. And so those come out 4 times during, well, we have a winter, a spring, and a summer. So they come out 3 times. And so it gets people ready. They know what they can sign up for. And then so one of the things they can sign up, the guys can sign up for, is for the bachelor auction. Yeah, so that's how we get our bachelors. They do sign up, and they know it's for a really great cause. So that's what they do.
And then you do the book drive for the kids at the ports. Talk about that.
That's one of the other things that's really important. And we've been doing that for almost the 29 years now, 30 years now, is that we really feel that literacy is important. And another thing is giving back. So we started asking every passenger if they would just bring one new children's book with them. And so when you start talking about 1,000 people, you can get 1,000 books if everyone stops and gets a book. And our passengers have been very conscious in terms of buying books by African American authors, and with children of color on the covers.
Mm-hmm.
So we will contact either the libraries or the schools. We've done Red Cross before, where we contacted, say, we'd like to donate in your island. And every year we change our islands up. This year it was in Jamaica. So we asked them to be ready, and we asked our passengers to bring a book with them, and we get a book plate put together. It's there, got a sticky in the back, and the person can write their name and the state and the city and state where they come from. So when they put it in there, the children will know where these books came from. And so we collect the books, and when we get to the destination, we get off, and there's a presentation, and we always have at least 1,000 new books that are presented. I remember one year there was a hurricane in Grand Cayman, and they said the library was destroyed, and so it was it Turks? I'm sorry, Turks and Caicos. And so they were able to have enough books to really, fill their children's section of the library.
Restart the library. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a wonderful gesture.
Yeah. So that's another good thing that we do. So very proud of that in terms of um, our our company and what we like to do to make sure we are giving back. And we also, in terms of our media, we've partnered with Morgan State University to have 3 or 4 of their young people in college who are in media to come down and be part of the photograph and videos that are done for our cruise. So they'll get experience and go back and do, produce a video for us. So we feel that that's another really good thing for young people. So, you always got to really try to do more and give back.
Very good. Very good. For the listeners, a Festival at Sea has a sister organization called Friends of Festival at Sea. Before I ask about Friends of Festival at Sea, Patricia, I'm curious about your recent river cruise because it relates to Friends. I reached out to you a few months ago, and you were just about to leave for Europe to go on a river cruise.
Yeah.
So give us the glorious details, and then we'll talk about what that has to do with Friends.
Right. So, river cruises are totally different. I mean, they're just so unique and so wonderful. Um, So we're used to ocean cruises or, where you leave and then like in an hour or two, that's all you're going to see is ocean. So the river cruises, they're a lot smaller. They're, they hold some of them like 150 people or so. So they're small and they're long. And what they do is they dock in these very, very all of the cities and small little towns. And so they literally pull up to a dock and you just walk right off, and then you're right there on the land. So it's very convenient, but the scenery is just absolutely beautiful. I was on AMA Waterways, which we're going to do a program with them next year. And I wanted to see what the staff was like and the service, and it was excellent. The food was wonderful. And so the ships in themselves, because they're smaller, they don't have all the big buffets and everything. People go to full breakfast, full lunch, full dinner. And then because you're pulling up right to these cities or little towns, I mean, literally maybe go for a morning tour and maybe on the way back, back at noon and then everybody goes to lunch, and then you go out again and come back and people go to dinner. So that is another thing that is so nice. And then you get to know almost everybody on board. So the service was excellent. I believe the ship that we're on was built in about 2017, so they're nice and new and they're beautiful. Yeah. So just a whole different type of cruise.
Was that your first river cruise?
It was not actually. I went on one about 7 years ago out of Vienna. So that was my first river cruise, and I loved it then. Yeah, it was just great.
Tell our listeners about Friends of Festival at Sea, and then we'll talk about, and you kind of alluded to it a minute ago, why you went on the AMA Waterways cruise recently.
Right. So Friends of Festival at Sea actually started 25 years ago, and it was started for people who love to explore. So we've been doing a lot of Caribbean, but there's people who wanted to really go see the world, but they wanted to do it with friends. So they're not charters. What they are is that we'll take a portion of the ship. We'll still bring a DJ and dance instructors, and we'll still have activities. But the main focus is to explore the world. So we literally have been all over the world. Last December, we had a large group of people, 50 people who actually cruised out of Cape Town, South Africa, and we did Namibia and Mozambique. And it was a 15-night cruise, and we had a 3-night pre-cruise in Cape Town. And so we've done everything from Carnival in Brazil. We've done Singapore to Sydney. We've done the Baltic. We did the Baltic in 2018, which was really nice. And so it's just about exploring. People have been to China, and it's about exploring, but because we just have this great culture, we like to do it our way.
For the listeners, Patricia is being modest because these Friends of Festival at Sea adventures are absolutely ultra luxury, very high end. You've been on Regent Seven Seas? What's some of the lines you've been on?
We've been on Regent Seven Seas. We've been on Crystal. We've been on Silver Sea. And so we're there. It's a luxury market, but it's not stuffy. It's like, because some people, they can say, for example, it's 10,000, 11,000 per person without air. So some people will just say, okay, just take it on my credit card. Other people will say, okay, put me on a payment plan, so I can, because usually we'll do a year to a year and a half in advance. And then, but when we get on board, everyone's just enjoying themselves. So nobody really cares what your income is. They just enjoy people having the love for travel. Yeah.
Well, I will tell listeners that when I first found out about Festival at Sea several years ago, while I was writing my first book, in the process of interviewing Patricia and researching Festival at Sea, I found out about Friends of Festival at Sea. And as the listeners know, I have a very active, evolving bucket list. And 5 years ago, I said, one of these days, I'm going to go on a Friends of Festival at Sea cruise.
Right.
And so the next Friends of Festival at Sea actually allows me to check off 3 items on my bucket list.
Wonderful.
I get to check off that item that, I want to go on a Friends of Festival at Sea adventure.
Okay.
Number 2, I've never been on a river cruise. And so a river cruise has been on my bucket list for some time. And then did I say 2? The third one, I've been to Europe, but I sheepishly have to admit I've never been to Paris.
Right.
So your upcoming Friends at Festival at Sea adventure on Emma Christina checks off 3 bucket list items for me. So tell us about that upcoming cruise, Patricia.
Well, actually, it came out of the idea of an African American woman who's worked for AMA Cruise Lines for over 10 years. And so she's now the regional director, the national director of sales. And so I met her when she and my sales rep had a sales call here. And then she was telling me about this program that they have, they're just starting to develop, called the Soulful Epicurean Experience, where they would, they're sailing in France. And so they're highlighting some of the African-American experiences for the people who during, World War II and before that actually left the United States. There were many African-American musicians and W.E.B. Du Bois. They all went to France, for lack of a better word, to be treated better, than you can be treated.
So musicians, artists, scholars.
That's correct. All went into France. And so there was a big population of African-American expatriates, so to speak. And so within this cruise, they're going to be highlighting some of those experiences. For example, we're going to fly into Arles, which is near Marseille, and then we'll be overnighting on the ship. And then that first day, there's going to be a Black Heritage tour of Marseille. And so along the way, we'll be making our way up to Lyon on a 7-night cruise. And along the way, they're going to have some evening performances with jazz musicians. They're also going to do wine and chocolate tasting experiences and more jazz and wine experiences along the way. And then when we get to Lyon, you're going to get off of the ship, and then we're going to take a high-speed train for about 2.5 hours to Paris. And then Paris is a 3-night cruise, and then we're going to have Josephine Baker excursion, and also the next day a Black History tour of Paris. So like an immersive thing where, the tours themselves are tailored to the African-American, experience. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And so the first one is actually happening I think Thursday it's starting, the first one that they're going to do on Thursday. So we're really excited to hear back in the next couple of weeks to see how it is. They're doing the exact same itinerary that we're going to have next year. So their maiden
Oh, okay.
voyage is happening, and it's not it. They're just this is just the one that they have, and then so we have one, and they're having another one next year also. So anyway, it's a good idea, and I'm glad that AMA decided that they would go ahead and run with this because it's a good thing.
So it's a full ship chart. These are very
Right.
small. I guess what the capacity is, what,
154
154?
people, right, right, 154 people.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
so
it's
it will
exciting.
be a full
River
cruise
experience.
chart.
Yes, a
Yeah.
river experience.
And for the listeners, that is correct me, Patricia, if I'm wrong. That's August of 2024,
August of 2024, August 22nd of
and
2024.
there's still availability.
Yes, you could still go on that website and sign up or call and ask
Yep,
questions.
yep. So shortly, I'll ask Patricia to tell us how we can keep up with Festival at Sea and a website and so on.
Okay.
So Patricia, you have the sold out Festival at Sea next year, and then you have Friends of Festival at Sea, which I am obviously so excited about. Any other
Okay.
projects you can talk about that you're working on at Festival at Sea?
Well, we do have our Southeast Asia as well for Friends of Festival at Sea. That one is going to be actually not until February of 2025. And that one is going to be special as well because it's going to go out of Singapore with a 3-night pre-cruise on the Regent Explorer, which is one of their newer ships that I've been on before. And it is then going to go to Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines, and end up in Hong Kong.
Now, how many will you be taking on that?
Right now, we have about 80 people on that. Yeah.
So, but what's the capacity? I mean, I know with the river cruise.
Well, the ships are large. Yeah, there's like 800 people. But when we go on Region, and that they're really excellent. I mean, it's just nothing any better. And we have such a great time. And then of course we take our DJ and our dance instructor. And so on these other cruises, about 9:30, everybody's going to bed. So we always have our own club too. So we'll have a lot of fun dancing. And then all of the tours are included as well. So it's going to be fun.
So I'm only asking just in case between the river cruise and the Southeast Asia cruise, I hit the lottery or something. I'll
Yes,
go on that.
if you hit
I'll go on
Lotto,
that one
you're
too.
gonna get on this cruise.
But I don't have to worry about that one quickly selling out, right? Because the river cruise, you only had 154 spots.
Yeah, so this one is different in that it's a whole ship, it's like 800
Okay.
people. So again, it's a ocean vessel
Okay.
experience, but it's a lot of fun. They even have a culinary arts kitchen on board, and they can take 18 people. And we did this before when we went to Baltic. We had the whole 18 stations, and we cooked, and we had sous chefs helping us, and they were pouring wine for us also. So we had a really good time cooking and eating and having wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's now on my bucket list is how can I figure out how to do the river cruise and do Southeast Asia?
And Southeast Asia. That's right. Well, we'll put a trip to Vegas in
There you
between
go.
there.
There you go. How can our listeners get in touch if there's some interest in even getting on the waiting list for Festival at Sea, which I know that's sold out,
Right.
but it's very
Yeah.
likely if you get on the waiting list, you'll get on. So how can they learn about
Sure.
getting
Yeah.
on the waiting list as well as these two upcoming cruises for Friends of Festival at Sea?
Right. So they just go to our website, www.festivalatsea.com. So that's FESTIVALATSEA.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then just click to be on the wait list. And then if they're not really interested in the wait list, we do have a mailing list that they can get on as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, of course, social media. We do have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. So we're everywhere.
So let's talk a little bit about the future, Patricia. Do you ever go on cruises besides your own?
Sometimes, I get pretty busy and I don't have a lot of personal time. A lot of times I'm either, doing a site inspection or checking out new vessels for future, potential cruises. But sometimes I get a chance to go and do something like that. When I went on that river cruise about 7 years ago, that was just strictly for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have any personal travel booked?
Not right now for myself, not right now. Yeah. Been very, very busy. So right now we're just trying to get everybody berthed in their cabins. So we're still at our busy time right now. So I'll wait until this is all over and I'll figure something out. Sometimes it's good to stay home for a while.
Now you get to go on all of those exotic Friends of Festival at Sea cruises. So you probably you probably used up bucket list. Well, do you have a bucket list? Travel or life in general?
Really, I mean, there are places that I haven't been that I'm really interested in going to. So I really am interested in Vietnam because, of course, when I was in high school, some of our classmates, the males, when they got out, they were drafted in the Vietnam War. So I really want to see Vietnam. Yeah, for sure. And I've always wanted to go to the Philippines, so that ticks off that one as well. So, yeah, first place.
I have a lot of interest in a Vietnam river cruise. Actually, that was sort of my plan to as an entree into river cruising. But then I saw your Friends of Festival at Sea adventure come up. So, but yeah, that's on my bucket list as well.
Wonderful.
So before we let you go, Patricia, I know that you are very, very busy. Just want to shift gears, ask a couple of what I call fun or light questions, and then perhaps an oddball question that has nothing really to do with travel at all. So the first question, and I always ask this of my guests so I can steal some ideas. What's your favorite cruise drink and cruise food?
Okay, I guess I'm not so much fun with that answer. Not going to be that much of a fun answer because I don't drink a lot except from, I drink wine, red wine. But
that's okay.
I remember when I was, younger, I liked that Singapore Sling and all those sweet drinks, and rum punches and things like that. Occasionally, if I go to a Mexican restaurant, I like a margarita, or even on the ship, margarita, that kind of thing. It's okay, a cosmopolitan, but pretty much I'll have some wine, yeah. And then food.
What do you like? Oh, I'm sorry.
Food, yeah. If I'm at some of the specialty restaurants, I'll usually have the lobster. Yeah.
Are you usually on your cruises? Are you a big fan of the specialty restaurants?
I always like to go at least once. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. It's a great break from, even though the food is really good at all the restaurants, but it's a good break.
Have any favorites? I like Celebrity, so I've been on Celebrity a lot.
Tuscan is great. That one people really like, and also Murano because the experience is like really fine dining. Yeah.
I was on January. I went on the Smooth Jazz cruise in January.
Okay.
And so they didn't have this was the Celebrity. I forgot what it was, but they didn't have a Murano on that one.
Okay.
But they did have Tuscans. What's your most memorable or funniest or even embarrassing cruise or port experience?
Okay, this one is back from 2000, and we had about 250 people on one of our friends' trips that went from Cape Town, South Africa, all the way north up to the west coast of Africa, Ghana, and and then we ended up in Senegal. And so I remember when we were first pulling into Senegal, we were on a ship that actually isn't in service anymore. It was Peter Dahlman, and it was the Deutschland. So it was a German ship. And so with the German waiters, and so we were pulling into Dakar, and I just thought, wow, you know, that's where Goree Island was. That's where all the slaves left out of
Mm-hmm.
Senegal. And we were sailing in on a luxury vessel with white Germans, like serving us. Just saying is it was like so different than our ancestors left, and it was such an amazing experience. And I just thought, you know what, they would be so proud of how we did after
Excellent.
leaving there in chains. Yeah.
What an outstanding memory. So many ironies in
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes. And it was
Yes.
great service on board too. So we had a good time. It's just that it was the irony of coming back that way on a
Right,
ship as
right,
well
right.
as we left one on a ship. Yeah.
Finally, I know that you have a following, and welcome to the Festival at Sea fans who are listening. Share one thing that my listeners and your fans don't know about Patricia.
Okay. What they don't know is sometimes it's easy to say, to look at someone who's the owner of a company for 45 years, and with Festival at Sea for going on our 32nd sailing, and say, boy, she did such a great job. So what people don't know is how many people who are behind the scenes, so to speak. First of all, we have, if you look at some of our pictures, we have a committee, and we have about 80 people who really do work with us when we're on the ship. And a lot of them have been with us for a long, long time. And so we can't get on there without these people, and they've done so much. And then as far as um, out of those people, we have a core who always goes on our site inspections, and we go down and we stay for that full week, and we will work with Celebrity, and we work with every single department on board to make sure that our cruise is excellent. They understand what we're doing. They have our itinerary, and that we're all on the same page when we get on board. So the guests have a wonderful experience. The advanced team that we have, Peggy Presley, Gina Broadnack, Jim Coleman, and Alonzo Ward, who is our production manager. So that amount of work that they do sets the stage for everything to happen. And then finally, the thing that I am so most proud of is my staff. I've been here 45 years, and unless you have good staff and good people, no one can run anything on their own. This year, actually, my younger son, Martin, has joined as our marketing manager, and he's been doing a great job with everything to do with our marketing and our websites. And Kevin has been with us for 13 years, my oldest son. Diana is our reservation manager. She's been with me for 28 years. And Veronica, who's our account assistant and quality control, has been with us 29 years. My office manager, Roberto, 30 years. And Arthur, who we call the travel doctor, he does all our IT, created our program that we use now for all of our cruises, handles all the air for all of our entertainment as well, has been with me for 34 years. I have to say, what people don't realize is I have the best staff, and I owe so much to them.
But that's a great answer, Patricia, and that's a true leader, listeners. A leader who gives the credit to the people who work with her, and I appreciate you saying that. And I think I've met at least one of you. So is he still DJing?
Yes,
Patricia, you know a little bit about my past. I taught business and entrepreneurship at the college level,
Yeah.
and you're my entrepreneurship hero. I don't think people realize how accomplished you are and what you've done over the past 40 years. You certainly are a business person to admire and emulate. And I thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to share with the listeners here at the Joy of Cruising podcast. Continued best wishes to Festival at Sea and Blue World Travel. And I will see you in Paris.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, I will see you before
Paris, in Marseille. Yeah, terrific. Thank you so much, Paul. I really appreciate your asking me to be on your podcast. I'm so very pleased that you did, and I'm so happy that you also have me in your Joy of Cruising. So I appreciate you asking me. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm honored that you said yes. As they say, I will see you on the ocean, or I should say, I will see you on the river.
On the river. Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
All right, Patricia.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
All right.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.